Hi everyone, my name is Kim Hutchinson and today I'm here to share my presentation From Struggle to Strength, Discovering Gifts in Mental Health Challenges. It's a story of hope, resilience and the power of a fresh perspective. I feel so grateful to have this opportunity to share my story with you today. But before we dive in, I would like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from Wajak Noongar Boodja. I would like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to thank the Finding North Network and the Mental Illness Fellowship of Australia for providing this platform and the important work they do to build community and connection in the mental health sector. Today I will be sharing key moments from my mental health journey so far, the struggles, the successes, and the lessons learned navigating depression, anxiety, and discovering my autistic identity later in life. I will be talking about some hard times from my life which may be distressing for some. Please do what you need to do to look after your well-being. And please note that every autistic person is unique and experiences their autism differently. As Dr. Stephen Shaw once said, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. All of us have a story, and I hope that by sharing mine, I can encourage you to embrace the empowering version of your own story. Today, I will be looking at reframing challenges as opportunities for growth and how we can foster resilience within ourselves. My hope is that you'll feel inspired to reflect on your own journey and your gifts after our time together. And in doing so, we can all do our part to foster communities where people feel safe to show up as their authentic selves. So Therapy 1.0, where it all began. Since my teenage years, I have grappled with feelings of depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of isolation. Growing up as a child of Vietnamese immigrants, mental health was not discussed at home, and it was also at a time where it wasn't really discussed in school either, and I didn't even know that what I was experiencing was known as depression and anxiety. At 18, I was encouraged to see a GP and develop a mental health care plan. But seeking help was something my family did not support. Culturally, mental health challenges were perceived as something shameful, a sign of weakness, and I was told to toughen up and to go buy some self-help books, and surely that would fix things. The stigma overwhelmed me, and I was too afraid to pursue it further, so I put the mental health care plan away. I continued to suffer in silence and resorted to band-aid, quick-fix solutions to cope and numb the pain. It not only took a toll on my mental and emotional health, but wreaked havoc on my physical health, my academic studies, my ability to work, and my social life, and I felt so alone. It wasn't until a few years later that I summoned the courage to seek out professional help, but this time in secret. Getting help changed my life. I finally had a safe space to talk about my challenges, and for the first time I felt heard and validated. It was during these sessions where I was introduced to schema therapy, which helped me understand and rework the unhelpful ways of thinking and behaving. It was helpful to have a new way of looking at my challenges, and my struggles with perfectionism and people-pleasing were looked at through the lens of gender and culture. The pressure to hold myself to high, unattainable standards and the act of putting others' needs above my own are common struggles for many women and people from Asian cultures, and it felt like things finally made sense, and I wasn't alone anymore. A few years later, I finally graduated from therapy, and it seemed like I was ticking all the boxes of success. On the surface, I was doing well, my career trajectory was promising, and I was going on amazing holidays abroad. I fell in love, got married, and we bought and started renovating our forever home. But beneath the surface, I was grappling with various health challenges, financial pressures, and the weight of family expectations. Throw in a global pandemic and the cost of living crisis, and I was exhausted and burnt out. I was trying so hard to keep it together and focus on the positives, but it wasn't enough. Close friends would ask if I was really okay, and I kept telling myself and others that I was. But the pressure piled on and the weight of depression and anxiety hit me hard. I was overwhelmed and lost, and I realized I needed to get help again. So which brings us to Therapy 2.0. At 29, I returned to therapy with a new mental health care plan, lucky that the same psychologist was able to take me on. This gave me a sense of hope that my life would get better again, and while waiting for my appointment, I started taking small steps towards self-care, turning to books for escape. And it was within the pages of a romance novel that I stumbled upon the revelation that I might be autistic. It was this realization that led me down a path of self-discovery. It was the missing puzzle piece for me, and my identity started coming together through a new lens, reshaping my understanding of who I am. Seeking a formal autism assessment wasn't easy though. The hurdles included long waiting lists, there was a shortage of professionals skilled in assessing adults, especially women, the assessment fees were expensive, and many processes required family participation. And while the formal process was validating, it took an emotional and financial toll. We had to revisit old traumas to assess me against the autism diagnostic criteria, or what's known as the DSM-5. Exploring other co-occurring conditions such as ADHD is something I would like to do at some stage to better understand my neurological differences, but for now I have to accept that self-identification is sufficient. So, Therapy 3.0. After a challenging assessment process, I received a formal report detailing all my deficits and how I fell short of the neuronormative standard. Not knowing what to do next, the report became an action plan to fix my perceived shortcomings. One example that comes to mind was the work I did to practice my communication skills. I remember working on my eye contact, trying to make it less painful by staring at people's foreheads and counting down the seconds to make sure it wasn't too long, because that would be really creepy, right? So making sure I'd make all the appropriate noises and nods to prove to people that I was paying attention, and it felt like I had accidentally signed up for a crash course in acting. I felt overwhelmed, questioning if I would ever be able to integrate into society and whether I'd find that elusive sense of belonging. Joining a peer support group, I learned about the psychological damage of masking. Continuing on this path was hurting me. It was pushing my anxiety and stress levels through the roof, eroding away my sense of self and identity, trying to be something I wasn't, and putting up barriers to meaningfully connect with others. Clearly this wasn't sustainable and I had to find a way to do things differently. So, Therapy 4.0. I realized I needed to shift away from the deficit lens of the traditional medical model of disability, which views differences as something to be fixed. I realized I needed to work with my brain rather than against it. So adopting a strengths-based approach instead, I embraced the social model of disability. This perspective sees challenges not as personal deficits but as societal barriers, requiring curiosity, experimentation, and a sense of play to overcome them. Being compassionate towards myself was important and focusing on the desired outcomes rather than getting caught up in the methods, and sometimes this meant doing things differently. I learned the importance of showing up authentically, and this meant acknowledging my strengths as well as my challenges without putting pressure on myself. It involved embracing what makes me different and recognizing that my proudest and happiest moments in life are not in spite of my neurodivergence, but because of it. Through this process, I found my voice and learned to advocate for myself. It was about tuning into my own needs and, more importantly, learning to respect and prioritize them. It has been a learning process to understand the different ways in which I navigate the world and communicate them to others as needed. So, discovering my gifts. Looking back, I've come to appreciate the gifts hidden in the struggles. Although incredibly difficult at the time, these challenges have played a pivotal role in shaping the person I am today. Some of the gifts I've gained include courage. This isn't just about doing what's scary, but learning to accept the discomfort and make difficult decisions. Resilience. It's about weathering the storms and learning to get back up again after I stumble. Curiosity. Approaching challenges with a playful and experimental mindset has helped me grow. Compassion. Being kind to myself and giving myself the same understanding and empathy that I would extend to others. And authenticity. Honoring my differences and needs, living in alignment with my values and my purpose. So, lessons learned. In the face of adversity, the stories we tell ourselves have the power to provide comfort and strength. From my own mental health journey, here is what I've learned. Within every struggle, there lies a seed of strength waiting to bloom. Every obstacle I overcome reveals unique gifts within me. I embrace the lessons within my struggles as they hold the keys to my growth. My resilience grows with each obstacle, turning setbacks into comebacks. I bounce back from challenges with resilience and a renewed sense of purpose. Mental well-being will fluctuate day to day, and these statements remind me of what I am capable of, helping me connect to my inner strength. And when I'm feeling wobbly, they remind me that there is hope and everything will be okay. I'm curious to know whether any of these statements resonate with you and your experiences. What are some of the lessons you've learned on your journey? So now in my 30s, I'm driven to do my part to inspire a world where diversity thrives and everyone feels safe to be their authentic selves. I'm happy to say that I'm now living my life by design and not by default. Before discovering my neurodivergent identity and putting in the work, I felt like a passive bystander in my own life. It was something happening to me rather than something I was living. I'm proud of the progress I've made and continue to make, choosing to live intentionally and in alignment with who I am, even when it means making difficult decisions and taking the less conventional path. I've also set up my own business offering peer support and coaching to empower neurodivergent people to follow their hearts, and I do this by supporting them to design and lead a one-of-a-kind life on their terms. I also seek out opportunities to share my lived experience in different ways, to help challenge stigma surrounding mental health and neurodivergence. I do this because I believe that representation matters and we need diverse voices and perspectives to help foster understanding and acceptance. My passion is for gifts, and that has led me to become a core gift master facilitator, where I help people discover and articulate their purpose, helping them recognize the overarching thread that weaves through their past, present, and future. I also volunteer as an I Am Remarkable workshop facilitator, which is part of a global community movement empowering people, particularly from underrepresented groups, to celebrate their achievements in the workplace and beyond. Before we conclude, I want to invite you to reflect on your own journey. Think about the challenges you faced. Reflecting on specific moments in your life and consider not only the obstacles themselves, but the journey of overcoming them. How have these challenges shaped me? Think about what has shifted within yourself. Has it changed how you see yourself and how you relate to others in the world? And in what ways have you grown through your challenges? Secondly, what gifts have emerged from these challenges? Explore what has emerged for you. Perhaps it's newfound courage, a heightened sense of empathy, or an ability to adapt to change. The list is endless, and how we express that gift is unique to us and shaped from our own experiences. For example, the way I express courage will look different to yours. Thirdly, how can I share this gift with others? They say that a gift is not a gift until it is given. Think about how your experiences can be a source of inspiration or support for others. Is there an opportunity to create a small ripple effect here? Feel free to hit pause if you'd like to spend some time now to reflect. Otherwise, you can take a screenshot or jot down these questions if you would like to do it later. I personally have found them helpful as journaling or conversation prompts to deepen my own understanding of who I am. Reflection is an ongoing process, and I find that I uncover different gifts and strengths each time. So, this brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you for staying until the end. I feel incredibly grateful to have had this opportunity to share my story with you today. If you would like to connect, please feel free to reach out. I would love to hear about the gifts that have emerged from your own mental health journey. And in closing, I wanted to say that our stories matter, our strengths matter, and our lives matter. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Explore more Perspectives 2024 on Finding North Network's YouTube channel. Find out more by visiting findingnorthnetwork.com.au or email info@findingnorthnetwork.com.au.